There exists a rule within the walls of wealth that is not written in books, nor spoken openly by those who obey it. It is the silent law of the few who rise above the many. The secret banking rule that separates those who merely survive from those who build empires. It is not a rule of morality or fairness. It is a rule of power, discipline, and knowledge hidden beneath the illusions of equality. Most men believe that the bank is their ally, a guardian of their savings, a partner in their dreams. But they are mistaken. The bank is never your friend. It is a predator disguised as a provider, and only those who understand its true nature learn how to make it serve them instead of enslaving them. The common man saves his money in fear. The wise man moves it with intent. The common man seeks safety in the illusion of stability. The powerful man seeks control through leverage. The bank feeds on the fears of the many, lending back their own money at a price, the interest that chains them to perpetual labor. Yet within this predatory system lies the key to dominance, a secret rule that the rich obey, and the poor never suspect. Money obeys whoever controls its circulation, not whoever hoards it. The world praises savers, but it crowns investors. Those who simply store money are devoured by inflation, taxation, and the silent erosion of value. But those who understand that money must be set in motion, multiplied, borrowed, and leveraged, bend the same system that enslaves others to their will. The bank does not grow rich by saving, it grows rich by lending. And those who imitate the bank, who learn to become the lender rather than the borrower, are the ones who ascend. Understand this: every law of finance, every rule you are taught to follow, save 10%, avoid debt, trust the system, is designed to make you predictable. The system thrives on obedience. The secret rule breaks obedience. It teaches the few to think as the architects of credit, not the subjects of it. When a man learns to use the bank's tools against itself, to borrow not for survival but for expansion, to invest not for hope but for control, he crosses from the realm of the governed to that of the governors. It is not the amount of money that determines power, it is the flow of it. Those who command its movement write the laws others unknowingly obey. The secret banking rule is simple, yet fatal to ignorance. The one who controls the cycle of debt controls the destiny of nations. And the one who imitates the bank, rather than serving it, becomes what the world calls a millionaire. There exists a rule within the world of wealth that is never spoken openly, a law that moves unseen beneath the noise of financial advice, savings plans, and economic theories. It is the hidden order known only to those who sit above the system, the secret banking rule that forges millionaires from ordinary men. This rule is not printed in any book, nor whispered by bankers to their clients, for its revelation would shatter the illusion that sustains their dominion. It is the rule that divides the masters of money from the servants of it. The banks know this truth well, and they have built their empires upon it. The ordinary man believes the bank is his protector, a safe house for his earnings. He walks proudly to deposit his wages, believing he has done something wise. Yet he does not realize that in this act of security, he transfers power. The bank takes his still money and breathes life into it, lending it, multiplying it, and harvesting profit from it, while he watches his balance remain unchanged. The bank does not reward his trust, it exploits his passivity. What he sees as protection is in truth surrender. Most people are taught from birth to fear loss and to worship safety. This is how control is maintained. The more they fear risk, the easier they are to manage. But money is not meant to rest, it is meant to move. Money that sleeps dies, money that flows multiplies. The secret rule, therefore, is not about saving, but about commanding circulation. He who controls the movement of money controls the men who depend on it. Banks understand this perfectly. They do not grow rich by holding money. They grow rich by lending it. Every loan creates more money than existed before, drawn from the faith of borrowers who must repay more than they received. In this cycle, the lender becomes the ruler and the borrower the subject. Yet within this system lies the path to freedom for the few who grasp the pattern. For if one learns to act as the bank does, to move capital, not merely possess it, one begins to reverse the hierarchy. The difference between the poor and the powerful is not the amount of money they have, but how they make it behave. The poor man works for money, the rich man makes money work for him. The poor man saves, the rich man circulates. The poor man fears debt, the rich man commands it. The bank is powerful because it understands that money's true value lies not in possession, but in motion. To understand this is to uncover the rule that creates millionaires. Money obeys the one who controls its circulation, not the one who hoards it. When a man begins to move his resources with precision, investing, borrowing, multiplying, he becomes the architect of wealth rather than its laborer. And once he learns to use the bank's weapons of credit, interest, and leverage against the very system that forged them, he ceases to be a client. He becomes a ruler of capital, and the banks themselves unknowingly become his servants. The bankers of the world understand something that most men never will. Power is not in possession, but in creation. A man who keeps money loses it. A man who multiplies money owns the system. When you deposit your earnings, you give your lifeblood to the bank. The bank lends it tenfold to others and reaps wealth from your stillness. Your fear of losing becomes the very soil in which their fortune grows. The secret banking rule teaches that debt is not evil when it is commanded by intelligence. The weak man fears debt because it reminds him of dependency. The strong man uses debt as a weapon, a lever to lift what his own strength cannot. When the banker lends, he does not lose, he gains control. Every borrower becomes a subject, a worker for the interest of another. But those who understand the rule reverse the game. They become borrowers who profit, builders who turn borrowed sums into revenue, generating empires, and finally lenders themselves. The masses toil for paper, the enlightened command credit. Money is an illusion. Trust and control are its foundation. The poor man trades his hours for currency. The wise man trades his credit for assets. The secret banking rule whispers, control the assets that produce cash, and you will never chase cash again. The wealthy do not chase wages. They construct systems that make wages chase them. A man must therefore learn to think like an institution. When he sees a bank, he should not see a vault of security, but a river of opportunity. He must understand that credit, when used strategically, is an extension of power, not a chain. The one who borrows to consume dies poor. The one who borrows to build owns his lenders. The system itself bends to those who understand how to harness its tools. The secret lies not in rebellion, but in imitation. The richest men do not fight the banks. They become the bank. They lend through real estate, through businesses, through influence. Every dollar they send into the world returns with more interest, loyalty, or control. Meanwhile, the obedient saver watches his stored coins rot under inflation's silent hand. The wise man learns that in the kingdom of finance, stagnation is death. Money must move, and the one who directs its movement rules all who depend on it. The secret banking rule begins to reveal its brilliance when one understands a simple truth: power does not belong to those who possess money, but to those who create and control its movement. The entire banking system is built upon this truth. The bankers do not work for money, they conjure it. They do not save, they lend. They do not depend on wages. They extract interest from those who do. This is the first lesson of the powerful. Possession is temporary, but control is eternal. When you deposit your earnings into the bank, you believe you have gained safety. In reality, you have surrendered command. The bank takes what you deposit and multiplies it through the mechanism of loans. For every unit you give, it lends many more, not from reserves but from the confidence that borrowers will repay. Thus the bank creates wealth out of your obedience and fear. While your money sleeps behind digital walls, the bank uses it to build empires, charging interest to those desperate enough to borrow, earning from both your stillness and their desperation. The common man despises debt because he does not understand its nature. He associates debt with chains, with the loss of freedom, with the humiliation of dependence. Yet the enlightened man knows that debt is neither good nor evil. It is a tool. It destroys the weak and empowers the wise. A sword in a coward's hand kills him. In a strategist's hand, it conquers nations. So it is with credit. When controlled, debt becomes leverage, a force that allows one to build what personal wealth alone could never achieve. This is why the rich are not enslaved by loans. They command them. They borrow not for survival but for expansion. When they take debt, it is backed by systems that multiply it, properties, businesses, and investments that produce more income than the cost of the borrowed sum. They turn borrowed money into productive money, interest into profit, and obligation into dominance. The bank becomes their silent partner, serving their vision while believing it has sold them a favor. The masses labor endlessly to save what loses value daily, shackled by the illusion of financial virtue. But the ones who grasp the secret rule see beyond the illusion. They know that money is merely a reflection of confidence, and confidence can be engineered. They use borrowed capital to build assets that generate more cash flow, using the same system that enslaves others to secure their own liberty. Thus, the game of power is not to avoid the bank, but to become what the bank is, a creator of money through control of movement. Those who understand this cease to think as individuals and begin to think as institutions. Their wealth no longer depends on effort, but on orchestration. They do not labor for the system labors for them. The secret banking rule, therefore, is not about escaping debt. It is about mastering it. For when a man learns to use credit as a lever rather than a chain, when he commands money instead of fearing it, he joins the invisible class of those who no longer serve wealth, but rule it. Observe the pattern of the powerful, and you will see the rule in motion. They never allow their money to sleep. It works day and night in businesses, properties, and systems that multiply it while others rest. They understand that true wealth is not built on labor, but on leverage. Labor is the tool of those who have not yet learned to command others' work. Leverage is the tool of those who rule labor itself. To master the secret banking rule, one must abandon the morality of the masses. The poor man believes money corrupts. The wise man knows that power without money is weakness disguised as virtue. The one who desires influence must accept the truth. The economy rewards manipulation, not morality. Yet this manipulation is not wicked. It is strategic. Just as generals use armies, the rich use money as soldiers. Every investment is a campaign, every asset a fortress, every dollar a weapon of conquest. The banks themselves operate with this exact ruthlessness. They lend at interest, multiplying wealth from nothing but signatures. They understand that the illusion of scarcity keeps people obedient. When people fear losing money, they surrender their freedom to those who can print, lend, or withhold it. Therefore, the rule is to rise above this fear, to think as the lender, not the debtor. Once a man controls the flow of credit, he dictates the rhythm of society. The secret is not found in saving but in structuring. A man may have 1,000 coins, yet if he does not know how to make those coins multiply through others, he remains poor in essence. Wealth is not measured by possession, but by multiplication without labor. The rich man's genius is that his money breeds money. Every dollar he owns gives birth to another, while the poor man's dollars die in stillness. To become powerful, one must learn to build systems where money circulates around him as planets around the sun. He must create enterprises, investments, and mechanisms that keep the flow constant. The bank grows rich because it never holds, it circulates. And those who imitate this motion, who understand that money must serve, not sleep, inherit the strength of empires. Observe the pattern of the powerful, and you will witness the secret rule in motion like an invisible current guiding their every move. The rich do not allow their money to rest, for rest is decay. They treat money as soldiers, instruments of conquest sent out to capture more wealth and return with spoils. The poor cling to their coins as if they were sacred. The powerful release them strategically, knowing they will return multiplied. This is not chance, nor luck, nor fate. It is deliberate design. To master this rule, one must learn to view money not as a possession, but as a weapon. It is not gold that makes a man powerful. It is the command he holds over its circulation. The banks themselves operate by this creed. They hold the illusion of wealth, yet possess little of their own. Through the art of lending, they turn promises into profit and fear into revenue. They understand that the true resource is not currency, but belief. Every dollar in existence is born from confidence. Confidence that others will continue to play the game, continue to borrow, continue to obey. Thus, the wealthy emulate this same pattern. They build systems that function like banks, enterprises that generate income from the actions and needs of others. They lend through property, trade, and investment. They own the tools that others must use, the roofs others must rent, the products others must consume. Their genius lies not in hard work, but in positioning. They place themselves at the center of necessity. The poor sell their time, the rich sell inevitability. Leverage is the heart of this philosophy. The wise man understands that his physical labor, his limited hours, cannot build an empire. But through leverage, the multiplication of effort through money, people, and systems, he can command results beyond his personal capacity. The bank leverages your deposits, the wealthy leverage the bank. This is the true reversal of power. The one who borrows wisely, not for consumption but for creation, enslaves his lender with success. Consider the contrast. The average man saves for years to purchase a home, draining himself to achieve what he believes is ownership. The wealthy borrow to acquire many homes, not to live in them, but to command the rents of others. One buys shelter, the other buys cash flow. One labors for stability, the other orchestrates motion. Both use the same system, yet one becomes bound by it, and the other reigns over it. The secret banking rule operates in every great fortune. Money must never remain idle. The rich know that stagnation is the enemy of power. Every dollar must be moving, working, compounding, and if it stops, it must be replaced. The banker grows rich not by saving but by circulating, and so does the man who imitates him. To think like the powerful, you must think like the bank itself. Do not ask how to earn more, ask how to multiply what you already command. Build systems that generate money while you sleep, and you will no longer be a servant of labor, but a master of motion. The moment your wealth begins to move without your touch, when it produces more of itself through others, you have uncovered the essence of the secret rule. That is when you cease to live within the system and begin to own it. Understand, then, the deeper truth. Wealth is psychological before it is material. The man who sees money as an idol will bow to it forever. The man who sees it as a servant will rule it. The secret banking rule is not only about economics, it is about mindset. The bankers do not worship wealth, they wield it. They know that money obeys systems, not emotions. The moment a man begins to think strategically rather than sentimentally about wealth, he becomes dangerous to the system designed to use him. The bank controls the fearful by keeping them comfortable. It teaches them to trust authority, to save humbly, to borrow responsibly, and to obey the invisible chains of good credit. Yet the wise man sees that good credit is not obedience, it is a weapon. When he earns trust, he does not use it to borrow for pleasure, he uses it to create power. He borrows to expand, to build structures that others depend upon. Soon his name becomes an institution, and the system bends to accommodate him. The game of money is about perception. Those who appear strong attract capital, those who appear desperate repel it. The wise, therefore, build the appearance of abundance long before they possess it. They move as if they already rule the financial realm, and thus investors, partners, and even banks align with them. Confidence becomes collateral. Vision becomes currency. The secret banking rule is that faith in your power creates credit, and credit creates power. It is not greed that creates millionaires, but understanding. understanding of cycles, of human weakness, of institutional hunger. The bank's hunger for predictable, obedient workers who borrow for comfort and save for safety, but they reward those who move like them. Ruthless, disciplined, strategic. The man who learns this becomes unstoppable, because he no longer plays by rules written for the powerless. Wealth begins not in the bank, but in the mind. Before a man can control money, he must first control his perception of it. Most men see money as an idol, something to be worshipped, feared, and hoarded. This is why they remain slaves to it. They obey the symbols of power without ever understanding its mechanics. But the ones who rise above this illusion see money for what it truly is. A servant, a force to be commanded. This shift in thought is where mastery begins. The secret banking rule is not only financial, it is psychological. The bankers of the world understand this deeply. They do not cling to emotion when making decisions. They move by structure, not sentiment. While the masses spend impulsively, driven by vanity and fear, the wise move strategically, guided by calculation and foresight. The bank does not lend out of compassion, it lends out of control. Every coin it releases has a purpose: to return with more. This is how the few control the many, through emotional obedience disguised as financial advice. The system was built to tame desire and channel it into predictable patterns. Men are taught to save, to fear debt, to work for stability. They are rewarded for obedience and punished for ambition. This creates a society of dependence, predictable, fearful, and easily taxed. The bank thrives on this submission, as does every power built upon it. But the one who understands the rule reverses the game. He uses the system's tools without becoming its prisoner. He borrows with purpose, invests with intelligence, and multiplies with cold precision. The secret is that credit is trust, and trust is power. When a man earns trust from investors, institutions, or people, he gains the ability to command capital without possessing it. This is how the great builders of empires rise. They do not rely solely on their money, they rely on their reputation, their vision, their ability to inspire belief. The banks lend to them not because they need the money, but because they move as if they already own it. Power attracts capital, weakness repels it. Thus, the wise man crafts perception as carefully as he builds assets. He projects confidence, control, and inevitability, the three currencies that command respect in the realm of finance. Long before his wealth is visible, he acts as if it already exists. The world responds accordingly. Opportunities flow to him because he looks like a man who cannot fail. The bankers, sensing profit, align with his ambition. In this way, illusion becomes reality, and confidence becomes collateral. The secret banking rule rewards this understanding. The system bends to those who move with certainty. It is not greed that creates millionaires, but clarity, the understanding that money obeys structure, not morality. The banks are not enemies. They are mirrors reflecting the intelligence of those who use them. The poor hand over control for comfort. The powerful take control for freedom. And once a man stops chasing money and starts directing it, once he moves with intent rather than fear, he becomes what the system was built to serve, a ruler of its flow. The world will never reveal this truth willingly. It survives on the ignorance of the majority. The school teaches obedience, the bank teaches dependency, and society praises humility while rewarding domination. Yet for those who awaken, the rule remains clear: imitate the architects, not the laborers. Be the lender, not the borrower. Control the system, do not feed it. To master this secret rule, one must transform his mind. He must cease thinking like a consumer and begin thinking like a creator. Every dollar must serve a strategic purpose. Every expense must breed return. He must study the moves of the powerful, not the advice of the powerless. He must invest in knowledge, connections, and systems, not toys, pleasures, or appearances. Once a man understands how money works, he ceases to chase it. He creates conditions in which it must come to him. He builds enterprises that others rely on, investments that yield regardless of his presence, and relationships that multiply his influence. He becomes a center of circulation, not a corner of accumulation. This is the essence of the secret banking rule. Money is power only when it moves under your command. Those who hoard it serve it. Those who direct it rule the world. The millionaire is not a man of luck, but of structure, one who understands that the bank's greatest weapon is not interest, but ignorance. And when the awakened man learns to use the same rule that built empires, when he turns the flow of debt, credit and investment to serve his design, he becomes untouchable. He is no longer a citizen of the system, but the unseen hand that shapes it. The world will never hand you the truth of power willingly. The system thrives on ignorance. It feeds on the passivity of those who follow rules without ever questioning who wrote them. The secret banking rule is not advertised because it is the foundation of modern control. Entire nations are governed by it, entire populations subdued through its design. For the masses, it is a chain. For the few who understand it, it is a ladder. And those who climb it do not announce it. They move in silence, building influence, while others trade time for survival. The ordinary man is taught to be humble, to save what little he earns, and to wait for permission to live better. He is told that risk is dangerous, and that debt is poison. But this is the script written by those who profit from his obedience. The truth is that safety is the most expensive illusion ever sold. Every safe decision, every uninvested dollar, every cautious hesitation feeds the system that enslaves him. The banks and governments do not want fearless thinkers. They want predictable servants. They teach the people to hoard while they themselves circulate. They advise the masses to cut expenses while they expand empires with borrowed billions. To master this secret rule, one must tear out the programming of the common mind. He must cease to think as a consumer and begin to think as a creator. Every decision must become strategic. Every dollar must become a weapon. Every action must serve expansion. The path to power is not paved with comfort, but with understanding. The man who studies how the game is played soon stops being a pawn in it. He becomes the player who dictates the board. He learns that money, in truth, is not wealth. It is a tool, a medium through which influence and control are exercised. Wealth is the ability to make things move: people, opportunities, systems. And that ability is born from mastery of circulation. The bank multiplies wealth through interest. The wise man multiplies it through creation. The bank controls people with debt. The wise man controls systems with assets. The one who copies the banker's logic to create more value from what others call limitation transcends the boundaries of class, education, or background. Soon, the awakened man no longer competes. He creates. He no longer obeys. He designs. His money moves while he rests. His investments speak while he stays silent. His systems work while others sleep. The same institutions that once ruled over him now serve his ambition. This transformation is the ultimate revenge against mediocrity, the victory of awareness over manipulation. The secret banking rule concludes with this eternal truth. Money is never the goal, control is. Those who chase money remain slaves to it. Those who control its movement become masters of their fate. The millionaire is not the man who owns the most, but the man who commands the flow. And when a man finally learns to make money serve him, when he bends the financial system to obey his will instead of fearing its authority, that is when he steps out of the cage and into the realm of the architects. That, my friend, is how millionaires are created, not by chance, but by mastery of the rule the banks will never teach.